be nervous. It's just me.
It's just you. Okay, so thank you very much for coming to Stop Running on Empty. I'm really excited to be here. It's a Saturday. I really appreciate the fact that you're spending your weekend with me. That's an honor, so I really appreciate that. Okay, for those of you that are on Facebook Live in the group, I also want to welcome you to our Running on Empty, Stop Running on Empty rather, seminar. So we're going to spend an hour here together. It's going to be quick. It's going to have a lot of information in there. So please make sure you're making some notes. We're going to keep it at 3 simple points to help you to understand what you could be doing to stop running on empty. Life does not need to make you drained. The whole point of life is to enjoy it, is to be excited about it, and to have a great time doing that. So, before I get started, I just want to tell you a little about myself. My name is Vimal Patel. I'm a pharmacist, I'm a clinical nutritionist, a homeopath. I'm also board certified for addiction. Now, what does all that mean? What it means is that I have had over 35 years, actually getting close to about 36 years now, of learning and understanding how healthcare and medicine works, particularly as a pharmacist, understanding that medications help but aren't always the solution for everything. And it certainly isn't something that you want to consider being on for the rest of your life. Think about it this way. If your body was in balance, if it was needing everything that it needed, would you be on medications? No, right? If the buckets are empty, then does it make sense to fill the buckets up with medications, or does it make sense to fill the buckets up with what the body requires, which is primarily nutrient formulations, right? Nutrients found in food, found in water, air. Oxygen is actually a nutrient. So you want all of those things in order for you to have good balance and health. So one simple technique that I will also be talking about today is visualizing some simple approaches about how you can take care of your body. So before I get into that, about 40 years ago, I personally had a health problem, a health crisis. I ended up finding myself in a hospital, in a teaching hospital in Cambridge, England, almost dying. I was there for a month, wasting away. I was basically losing blood every time I went to the restroom from my bowels. They didn't know what was happening. They had poked and prodded me. I was about 13, 14 years old back then. Alone, my parents and family were 8,000 miles away in Africa, and I was in England. And they basically had no idea what was going on with me. They took blood from me, they took samples, urine, stool, all that, and they still couldn't figure it out, even though my father's a doctor in Africa and told them that, hey, there's a particular tropical disease that he might have that you need to check out. So here's what happened. They didn't know what they were looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to do tests that don't tell you anything. And so that's part of my reason of why I became a healthcare professional. I promised myself that I wouldn't end up in a situation where helping people, which I really love to do, and creating solutions that were outside the box. Because if you're looking in the wrong direction, you're not going to see what's happening in the right direction. So it's not about who's right and wrong. It's about what's right for the person. So you need to make sure that you customize things. And that's really why I have a broad range of education behind me, because I always kept asking why. And I always kept digging deeper, because there's always an underlying issue that needs to be addressed that we're tending to forget when we just jump into medications or mainstream solutions. All right, so with that in mind, this is why today I'm really excited about saying, look, your life does not need to be exhausting. It does not need to be a situation where you feel like you're always running on empty. So how can we take care of that? Well, there are 3 things that I'm going to be talking about today. And those 3 things are going to be about what you eat, and that then falls into managing your weight, because a lot of people are concerned about weight. They're concerned about whether they look too thin or too fat, or if they're don't have as much muscle mass and so on. Well, honestly, all of those things can be addressed if you understand what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. So I'm going to touch on those things because we don't have a lot of time today, but I will touch on them on the surface level, and then come see me afterwards. Let's do a customized approach for you so we can go in deep and we can find out exactly what's beneath the surface. And it might be a layer or two, might be a deeper layer, but we want to go in deeper and really find the underlying issues and take care of the buckets that are empty, balance them out, build up a good foundation. And what will automatically happen, because I've seen this over the last 30 years, is that your body weight will automatically come to what is ideal for you, right? What's ideal for you may not be ideal for me. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you're getting customized to your perfect weight management. And the way we do that is through food. The second point that I'm going to be talking about is managing energy and stress. Everyone talks about, oh, I'm stressed out, I've got too many things going on, my plate's full, Monday through Friday I'm working, I can't do anything, I can't go out and be with friends and family, and it's too much for me. But what we can do is create a balance in those things in terms of how you manage stress and how you create energy for your body. Think of it this way. When you have a car and it needs fuel for energy, and if the car is a gasoline car, right, or what in the rest of the world they call petrol, if it's a gasoline car, are you going to put diesel in it? No, you're putting the wrong fuel. So consider this, if you're running low on energy, you might be using the wrong fuel to fuel your body. So you want to increase energy by understanding which fuels to use when. And I'll be going over that as well. And the third point that really helps to stop running on empty is, quite frankly, recharging your batteries. Think about your cell phone, right? You use it so much, these smartphones, we use them. In fact, right now, you're watching me on the smartphone. We use it so much, but we forget that if you don't charge it, you're not going to get the best use out of it. And it's the same thing with your body. If you don't charge, if you don't allow your body to recharge, then you're not going to be able to have the amount of support that you need to not run on empty. So what are the things that you need to recharge? Quite frankly, what I'm talking about, can anyone guess? It's sleep, right? Sleep. I'm telling you, most of the way that the American population runs, quite frankly, the Western population, and now we're spreading that across the world, we don't sleep enough. There are so many health conditions that are associated to the fact that you're not sleeping. If you don't sleep, guess what happens? You don't recharge. You don't rejuvenate. You don't repair. You don't restore. Now, how in the world are you going to be full of energy and feel like life is really that you're having a lot of fun with life if you can't restore, repair, and recharge while you sleep? That's why sleep is critical. Okay, so if you're not getting an average of 7 to 9 hours of sleep, we need to make sure that we address that. So those are the 3 points we're going to be talking about, all right? The kinds of foods that help you to manage your weight, how to manage stress and energy, and the last thing is sleep. How to get a good night's sleep so that you wake up recharged, ready to take on the world and enjoy the rest of the adventures that your life is presenting to you. All right, so let's go on to point number 1, managing weight and the foods to eat. So here's the biggest thing that we're having a problem with. Over the last 30 to 40 years, we have had an industrial agricultural system that is basically creating a lot of grains. So we're feeding our animals grains because that's what we do, right? Remember cows and sheep and goat, right? All those animals, they used to actually, what are they called? They're pasture animals. What does that mean? It means that they eat grass, that they're supposed to be out there eating things off the ground that are growing, meaning plants. They were never designed to eat grains. Now, what you'll also notice is that we've known in the farming industry is that if you want to fatten the cow, if you want to fatten the pig, or the goat or the sheep, what do? Feed it grains. Guys, think about it. If we're fattening the animals by feeding them grains, then what do you think is happening to us when we eat grains? Right? Wheat, soy, corn, right? Any of those, which are the three big grains, are used to fatten the animals. And if the animals are going to get fat, so are you. All right? So this is why it's important. Cut out the grains. Now, let's go back to what Mother Nature used to give us. And here's a nice simple way to do it. If you snap your fingers and you go back in time, let's say we go back, snap our fingers, we're back 1,000 years ago. Actually, let's go back even further, 5,000 years ago. Okay, before the agricultural system that we currently have. How did we eat? We were foragers. We ate plants. What kind of plants? The ones that were in season. So here's the key word, eating plants that are in season. The problem we have with modern agricultural systems is that you get to eat everything every day. And that's not the way our bodies were designed. That's not the way Mother Nature intended us to be. We are on this planet, and yes, I'm a tree hugger and I'm a planet lover, I'm going to tell you that right now, but we're on this planet because we were meant to be here, and everything on this planet is designed to be balanced with us. So if we eat plants like we used to when we were foragers, and we eat the plants in season, you are automatically going to get the nutrients that are in the plants for the season that you're eating the plants in. Does that make sense? Okay, excellent. So, now, was that really difficult to understand? Right, and this is the beauty of why I love doing what I do, because I want to be able to break it down to simple, common sense steps that you can walk away with no matter where you are and be able to implement it. So now, if you're traveling, what are you going to eat? Whatever is in season, and it's going to be plant-based. Now, listen to the words I'm saying. I'm saying plant. I'm not saying fruits and vegetables, right? And there's a reason for that, because plants is more than fruits and vegetables. What I mean by that is herbs, spices, right? Things that we normally don't do a lot of that we really need to consider, because the beauty of herbs and spices is that it actually feeds us with nutrients that reduce inflammation. Now, if you're running around on empty and you're feeling aches and pains and your muscles are aching and your joints are aching and you're just not feeling like, that you're feeling like you're retaining a little bit of water and you're just kind of bloated and so on, those are all indications that you have inflammation. And what we need to do is flush you out, right? But the way to do that is to eat plants, because plants have nutrients in them that support your liver, that support your digestive system, that allow you to cleanse and detox. And at the same time, if you introduce herbs and spices, what it does is it reduces inflammation as well. And inflammation, folks, inflammation is the underlying issue that creates health problems across the board. Any kind of health issue that you have, you will find inflammation there, period. Doesn't matter what it is, inflammation is going to be part of that issue. And so reducing inflammation by eating the right types of plants and the right types of food is going to make a huge difference. And by the way, the reason that the animals get fat and the reason we get fat with grains is partially because those grains are being converted into fat. And when you convert grains, when you eat grains and you have too much carbohydrates going through you, they actually get converted into fat. Okay? And that fat is unhealthy fat. And when you have unhealthy fat, it leads to the production of unhealthy hormones. Now, how many of us have hormonal issues? Quite frankly, everyone across the board. Why? Because a lot of the things that we're using chemically in our environment, in terms of our food system, the spraying and everything that we do, all of those things mimic hormones in your body. And when they mimic hormones in your body, what happens is that it's mimicking signals that are not healthy and balanced. In fact, I can now say this because I was saying it in code before, but I'm now going to say it out in real terms. Roundup, pesticides that we use, herbicides that we use to kill weeds and bugs and everything. So an example of that is an herbicide called Roundup. How many of you have used Roundup in and around your house? It's used in large quantities in the farming industry. It is the thing that we spray all over our food. Well, now I can tell you, because this is out and it's science, and it's something that Monsanto is now having to deal with in lawsuits. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been given out because we now know that Roundup unequivocally causes cancer. It's a leading trigger for cancer because it messes up your hormones, it messes up the way that the chemistry works in your system, and it creates more problems. So please, when it comes to your plants, when it comes to your food, eat chemical-free. If you're not eating chemical-free, you're putting all the junk into you that is killing you, that is making you inflamed, that is causing a lot of health issues, everything from hormonal issues such as thyroid problems, sex hormone problems in terms of hot flashes and all that kind of stuff, to brain function issues, to gastrointestinal problems. It messes up your gut. It messes up your liver, because your liver is trying to deal with all sorts of health issues that it's trying to clean up. And your liver is a cleaning system, but how can you help it if you keep throwing junk at it? So make sure that you're eating plants that are chemical-free, and actually when it comes to meats and proteins, the same thing needs to be chemical-free, hormone-free, antibiotic-free. Okay, now notice I haven't said organic, but really if you think about it, you're kind of leaning towards organic, aren't you? Now I know a lot of people have told me, Vimal, it's not, how do you know if it's really organic or not? And I got to tell you this, you're better off eating something that has been certified organic, even if it's at a state level and at a national level, than something that is not organic. Because if it's not organic, you're rolling the dice. And I don't know about you, but if you're listening to this, you're here because you want to improve your health and you know you could be living a better life. And if you know that you could be living a better, healthier life, stop rolling the dice with chemicals, because that's going to mess you up right across the board. Okay, by the way, I love this one website, and I'm highly going to recommend that you guys check it out. It's called Environmental Working Group. environmentalworkinggroup.org. EWG.org. Check it out. Lots of good information about in there about what you can be doing right now, not only in terms of your food, but even in terms of your personal care items. Because we're putting all sorts of lotions and putting all sorts of shampoos and cleaners and all that kind of stuff that we do inside our house, and all of those things are full of chemicals as well. And you got to stay away from that kind of stuff as well. All right. Now, for those of you that are here live at this presentation, we'll be spending a little more time afterwards and getting into more specifics with you in terms of foods and so on. But let's move on to the next step. So that is, how are you going to manage? So we talked about food, we talked about nutrients, and how that's automatically going to manage your weight. So don't get into this whole weight loss thing about calories and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, it's not about calories. It is not about calories. It is about what you're eating. If you're eating good, healthy fats, and you're eating good, healthy plants and protein, you will automatically not want to eat more. And you will automatically get the message from your digestive system to the brain and back saying, hey, we don't need to eat more. I'm not as hungry. And by the way, another thing is water. You need to make sure you're drinking tons and tons of water in between meals. Don't eat and drink at the same time, because if you're eating and drinking at the same time, you mess up your digestion. You actually don't allow the digestive system to work properly. It's best to drink water on an empty stomach. What that means is a half hour before meals or an hour and a half after meals. Here's a little trick to find out if you're dehydrated or not. Very simple. How many of you feel thirsty when you start eating? For those that feel thirsty when they start eating, that's a clear indication that you weren't really hungry, you were thirsty. So here's a little tip. The next time you feel hungry, drink a full glass of water. Okay? About 8 ounces or more. I like to go 10 to 15 ounces. Drink that full glass of water, wait 10 or 15 minutes, and see if the hunger message is still there. If it isn't, then that means you were really thirsty, not hungry. Now, you can take care of all that problem just by simply drinking your water on an empty stomach. Here's another little tip. How much water? Well, take your weight in pounds and go anywhere from 50% to 65% or 2/3 of your body's weight, and then convert that number into ounces. That's the amount of water you should be drinking. So what does that mean? If you're 150 pounds, half of 150 pounds is 75. 2/3 of 150 pounds is 100. So anywhere from 75 to 100 ounces of water is what you should be drinking on an empty stomach in between meals. Now you may not be able to do it all in one day, okay? This is not the point of it. This is about living a good, healthy life for the rest of your life. What that means is you work your way into it. There's nothing here, folks, that you need to jump in and dive into the deep end. All this is steps towards getting to where you want to be. And guess what? It's not about how I would like you to be. It's about how you would like you to be. So if you're satisfied with wherever it is that you reach, and you're happy and content with that life, then we've done our job. Does that make sense? Okay, so I did go backwards. I'm going to go forward again onto the second point. And yes, please, have some water. The second point is managing stress and having energy. So, the biggest thing about stress is that it's twofold. It can be threefold, but the primary things that I like to help people understand, okay, is what's the stress coming from? Is it coming from the way you live your life? Meaning it's coming from the way you're perceiving how things are? Versus is stress occurring because the body is requiring help? Right? Though that's a very important thing as well. So you want to be able to break that down. You want to be able to discern, am I having stress because my body is having issues and is needing help and support because the buckets are empty or the buckets have holes in them? Or am I having stress because of the way that I'm living my life? Because both of those things, once you understand which is which, and you start to look at those things, there are solutions in both of that. Now, I do want to say this, stress, okay, is a whole topic that we could spend a week on. Because there's all sorts of things there are techniques that you can use in terms of, if it's the way you're living your life, then quite frankly, it's choices that you're making that you think you don't have choices in changing. How many of us live a particular way because that's the way we were brought up? Or that's the way society tells us to be? Or that's the way work says I have to be? Or that's the way family says I have to be? Well, that's exhausting. It's tiring. In fact, we have another seminar that we're going to be doing and workshop all about being tired. Okay? So please look into that. For those of you that are on Facebook, look at our Facebook group page as well as our business page, which is Time for Health Doc, and you will find the events there. So in fact, we're going to be having it next Saturday, so be sure to sign up for that, and we're really going to get into all of those things as far as how you can not be so tired and how you can take control of the way that you're living your life. It's really about perception. You still can do the same things, but how you see things and how you go about life on a day-to-day basis makes a huge difference. So I'm going to give you a little technique on that in terms of the head stress or lifestyle stress. And then I'm going to give you a little technique in terms of the body stress. Because both of those things drain your batteries, reduce your energy, make you feel like you're overwhelmed. And we can address those things very effectively. Okay? So let's start off with lifestyle. All right. Here's something that most of us don't do well. We all do this because every human being, all 7 billion of us do this. But most of us, I'd say over 90% of us, in terms of the entire world, don't do this well enough. You want to guess? And it has to do with stress.
Relax.
Relax is a good one, but here it is. Ready? Breathe. We don't breathe in a manner that allows us to have nice, deep breaths. Majority of us, when you are stressed, your body automatically gets a message that you're running from the lion. If you're running from the lion, are you going to be taking nice, deep breaths? No. If you're not taking nice, deep breaths, then the message you're sending your body is, hey, I'm running from the lion, even if you're not. Because seriously, how many of us are really running from the lion? Right? It's just the way we live our life, right? It's the way we think we live our life. Oh, it's already 6:30. I'm already late. I got to get going. I got the kids. I got the family. I've got this. I've got to get to the lunch, to the business meeting for breakfast. Traffic, yelling and screaming at everyone in traffic. Get out of my way. Slamming on brakes. All that kind of stuff that we do. That life that we live, right? In all of that, what you're doing is you're sending a signal to your body that you are running from the lion. And when you do that, the body believes you. It believes you because, as far as it's concerned, whatever you tell it is absolute truth. So it converts that into reality. And the reality it converts it into is shallow breathing. Because if I breathe shallow, like hyperventilating, then I can run. And I can run away from the lion. Okay? So that's the first thing I'm going to tell you. Be conscious. Breathe. All those things that you've heard over and over again. Count back from 10. Count back from 5. All of those things are for you, is to help you focus and become more conscious. Once you focus and become conscious of the situation, then you can actually breathe. Okay, in fact, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I have this issue as well. Just getting ready for this today, we had a bit of an issue with this whole camera thing, and I was getting all worked up. My armpits a little sweaty, and I can tell you that that's exactly what was happening to me. I was getting stressed out. But the one thing that I kept reminding myself, becoming conscious, and this happens with training, right? You got to be training. Mindfulness is another word that they use, right? But bring it up and be conscious. And when you're conscious, say this to yourself: breathe. Now, I'm going to do a side view. because I want to show you something. How to breathe. Take your hand, put it on your belly button. Got it? Okay. When you breathe in, I should do it the other way because my camera person's telling me that I should do it this way so I don't block my face. When you breathe in, the belly button should go out. Now I'm going to exaggerate, but this to help you understand. As you breathe in, belly button goes out. As you breathe out, belly button goes in. Okay, so let's give it a shot. Breathe in. Breathe out. As you're breathing out, do another little technique. Try and take that belly button and try and pull it all the way and imagine in your mind that you're trying to touch your spine with your belly button. And hold it. The important thing is holding your breath in between the breathing in and the breathing out. So let's do this. It's very simple, okay? Ready? Now let's breathe in. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. Pull that belly button in. Keep pulling it in. Keep pulling it in. Keep pulling it in. Touch that spine. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. How does that feel? I'm actually feeling calm and relaxed as well. My voice is changing, my tone is changing, right? These are simple techniques. When you are driving, focus in on breathing. When you are in work, focus in on breathing. This also sends a message physically. Remember we talked about the headpiece, right? Because the lifestyle and how we live creates our stress. That is now being translated into the physical through breathing. So your body gets the message that, hey, everything's fine. Everything can be handled. Everything will be fine. We will get through this, right? That's the message you send your body. It calms down. Your body doesn't feel like it's running from the lion. When your body calms down, it opens up the blood vessels to the rest of your system other than just to your muscles to run away. And that's important because now you're getting more oxygen throughout the body and more oxygen up into the brain, which makes you feel more relaxed and more energetic. So that's a nice simple technique. There are some other techniques that I've talked about that you can check on our YouTube channel, as well as some of the emails that we're sending out. So if you haven't got onto our email list, please make sure that you do that. You can, for those of you that are on the Facebook group, just message us and we'll get you those links and sign up so that you can learn about these other techniques as well. There's a really nice one that I love to do. It's a visualization of walking into an elevator, and it really is an excellent 5 to 10 second visualization that allows to calm you down. I use that quite frequently in between seeing patients and in between meetings and things of that nature, just to get myself relaxed and calmed down. It's a wonderful way to get in touch with your heart. That's all I'm going to say. But come check that out as well. All right, moving on, because time's going real fast here, is number 3, sleep. So before I get to sleep, let's just recap. We talked about weight management and eating the right kind of foods, because that helps you to fill your buckets up with the right things so that you're not running on empty. And the takeaway message in there is very simple. 2 things. Avoid grains and see what happens. Eat more plants. So avoid grains. Avoid grains. See, the voice is going. Need some water. Avoid grains. Eat more plants. And the second is drink water on an empty stomach. Okay. Number 2 was stress and energy. On stress and energy, break the difference. Distinguish where the stress is. Is the stress something that I'm creating in my mind and the way I'm living my lifestyle? Is the stress something that's happening to my body because of aches and pains and breakdown because of different health issues? And how to connect the two through breathing, and how to calm down the body and manage the stress through breathing. That increases oxygenation, that causes more energy for your body, and it can allow you to be more focused in the things that you're doing. Does that make sense? Okay, so those were the 2 things, and now on to point number 3. Point number 3 is sleep. I've alluded to this before. We don't get enough sleep. So I'm going to say this to you, and here's what you need to realize. How empty is your sleep bucket? Well, there's a simple way to do this. Don't put your alarm on the day that you don't have to go into work, or on the day that you don't have something scheduled in the morning. Fall asleep. And here's what I want you to pay attention to. Fall asleep and see how long you naturally stay asleep, and you naturally then wake up. Measure the time. So make a note of the time that it took you from the time you fell asleep to the time you naturally woke up. Okay. Now, here's another couple of things that I want you to pay attention to. Okay. Are you having difficulty falling asleep? Okay. So pay attention to that and see how long does it take you to fall asleep. So are you having difficulty falling asleep? The second question is this. Are you waking up in the middle of the night? Okay? So pay attention to that for about a week or so. Make some notes. Log it down. And then get in touch with me, because there are some very specific things that the body is telling you. Here's the thing, folks. Your body is constantly sending you messages. It's sending you messages in terms of signals, in terms of aches and pains, in terms of your wake sleep cycles, in terms of any sleep disturbance issues. The problem is you're just needing help to have someone like me help you decode what that means. Once you understand that your body is sending you signals that are messages, that its way of speaking, its language, and you understand how to decipher the language, then you can help yourself. And that's the whole key about how we help people, how I help people, is I want you to learn how to take care of yourself. Right? So you know what the biggest success for me is in terms of my clients and patients? Is when they learn enough and they don't come back to me. Well, they come back to me because we create a relationship and a friendship and a connection. But outside of that, I don't want you coming back to me for the same things, because you've learned and you've understood how to decipher things. Does that make sense? So let's get back to the sleep aspects. There's something called sleep hygiene. And all that means is creating the environment before you go to bed. Right? If you're listening to hyper jazzed up music and you get all pumped up, is that the way to go to sleep? No, because you've just basically awakened your mind. If you are thinking about the things that you need to do the next day, and you start making a list of things that need to be done before you go to sleep, then you've just started putting your mind on focus on things to do. Is that a way to help you to go to sleep? If you are watching television, because a lot of us people do, right? Late night TV. Now obviously, it's not so much TV, but it's the screen, right? Whether it's the iPad, the iPhone, or the smartphone, or whatever, television, the screen. If you're looking at a screen, is that helping you fall asleep? Now, some of you will say, yeah, well, I like to look at the screen because I kind of relax and I chill. And part of what happens is that the brain waves change and it puts you into this trance. But that trance is not the same type of brain support that you need to have it calm down, relax, and sleep. For sleep, you need a different type of brain pattern. A kind of message that's coming through saying everything is fine. There's nothing I need to worry about. Whatever I need to do has already been done in terms of if you're making lists and things to get ready for the next day. Do it 3-4 hours before you fall asleep. Because that's then taken care of and it's not interfering in terms of immediate thoughts before you go to sleep. So sleep hygiene is important from that standpoint. Have a bath. People are relaxed when they take baths. Okay? Showers, fine, you can do that as well. But bathing, in terms of filling up a tub with water, putting some Epsom salts in there, something with some magnesium, it relaxes the muscles. Putting some essential oils in there that are calming and relaxing. These are the types of things that you want to consider doing. Listen to music that is relaxing and calming. Right? Think about turning down the lights. Follow Mother Nature. We are designed to sleep at night. Human beings sleep at night. That means we sleep when it gets dark. The problem we have is all these lights. With the advent of light, it sends messages to our brain that it's still daylight. And it actually changes the hormonal signals in our brain, and it doesn't allow the brain to then be able to get into repair, healing, and restoration mode. So lights are a major issue. So look in the room that you fall asleep. If there are any lights, cover them up. That's the first thing that I recommend to everyone to do. Start covering up all the lights. If you're looking at screens, don't look at screens for at least an hour before you go to bed. Okay? Turn down the lights. Mimic Mother Nature. Mimic the sunset. And once the sun goes away, mimic starlight. Mimic moonlight. That's when you start to trigger and signal the brain and the body that, hey, we're safe, everything's fine, we can sleep, and we can go into restoration mode and recharge mode. That's the beauty and the secret when you start releasing hormones that then go throughout your body and help you to balance out the rest of your hormonal systems. Listen to what I just said. Let me repeat that. When you get good sleep, you get to a stage in your sleep where you release hormones that help to repair and heal and restore and recharge and rebalance the rest of your body, including the rest of your hormones. So if you have a lot of stress hormones running around, if you have a lot of imbalances in terms of thyroid hormone or insulin, which is a hormone. Yes, diabetes is a hormone issue as well, then beyond just a grain issue. So, and heart problems that are hormonally related, low levels of estrogen, low levels of testosterone, low levels of sex hormones, all of these things can be balanced out in part by having good sleep. So it's a no-brainer, folks. You need to sleep. And that's why it's important to get the right amount of sleep for your body. Now, there are people out there that go, oh, I don't need to sleep, I can work on 4 hours. Yeah, really? How much coffee are you drinking? How much caffeine are you putting into you? How much are you jazzing yourself up to get through the day to do 4-hour sleeps? And maybe you are someone who can sleep 4 hours, but why is it that you're 4 hours and someone else, and the average is 7 to 9 hours, is what the studies really say? How much health issues are you creating? If we actually were to break, you know what would be really interesting is if we could do this. is to start looking at the underlying chemistry of people who are sleeping less and start seeing, I bet you we're going to find more imbalances in those buckets and inflammatory issues and all sorts of health issues that can occur because of the lack of sleep. So even though there are people out there who say you don't need as much sleep, I'll sleep, there's another saying out there that says that I'll sleep when I'm dead. Okay, that's nice, good for you, you're going to die early if that's the case. But if you really want to have a good, healthy, fulfilling life with good quality of life, so that your quality of life stays nice and steady all the way through, and that when it's time to go, you switch the light off quickly, as opposed to going downhill. Right? This is what most of us do. We were born, and then we get to a certain point, and then based on our lifestyle, based on the environment, based on the things that we're doing to ourselves, based on what we tell our body, we start going downhill. And then all we do is, oh yeah, take medications for this, take medications for that. Oh, it's okay, it's just life, it's old age. No, that's rubbish. I'm here to tell you guys that is not the way to consider yourselves living. That just because you're getting older, that you have to deal with all the health issues and all the mental issues that come along with that. It's not because you're getting older. It's because your buckets are getting empty and they're getting rusted and they're getting holes in them because of the garbage that we are surrounded by, as well as the garbage that we put in ourselves. So please, take care of yourself with very simple things. So let's go over those 3 points. What were they? Eat real food that is chemical-free, hormone-free, antibiotic-free. Consider eating at least 80% of your diet to be plant-based. Less grains, if possible, no grains. And as much as possible, again, chemical-free. Number 2, stress management. How you perceive life to be makes a difference. Now I can tell you it's easier said than done because it's one of those things where most of our time we do things on automatic. What do I mean by that? How many of you are conscious of what you're doing when you're driving? Right? That's a great example because when you're driving, you're not really thinking about driving. You're not really thinking about how much to press the accelerator or not to press the accelerator or the brake. It's just happening. And it's happening because it's automatic. So you're not conscious about it. So be mindful, be conscious, do some deep breathing. Okay, that'll help you to reduce your stress levels. Number 3, sleep. 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 Okay, thank you for everyone that's on the group. If there's any questions and so on, you can message us and I will get back to you on that. You can also make consultation services with me where you can make an appointment. Again, message us and we'll get you the links for those types of things. For those of you that are here today, thank you so very much. Appreciate you taking the time to come out here. It's hot out there, I know. And the fact that you're making the trek out here on a Saturday, and for those of you that are watching this on a Saturday, thank you so very much as well. Appreciate this. Please do me a favor. Spread the word. Let people know that there's a better way to live than the way that they're currently living. And that there is a way to decode it and customize it for yourselves, right? The more that we can share this information, the more that we can spread the word, the better the quality of life across the board is going to be. My goal, I'm putting it out there and I'm going to let you know, is I'm really about making the world a better world. I want to live in this world and I want to make an impact on this world so that when I leave, I've done my part to make it a better place for all of us, not just humans, but for every living thing and the planet. So thank you very much. and I appreciate you spending the time with me. Thank you.